ladies and gentlemen, and knitters of the world. Welcome back to episode 6 of my Knitting Diaries podcast series. I'm David van der Kamp, the host of this channel. I'm also a knitwear designer and an indie dyer, or let's just say a fiber artist, and I'm currently based in Serbia. So, if you are new here, I would highly appreciate you hit the subscribe button in case you are a lover of all things fiber craft related. So, right, I realized that it did take me some time to post episode 6, and I'm very dreadfully sorry about that. But, the month of February, or was it January? I'm losing track here. The month of January was definitely one that presented many personal challenges. So it isn't the best month, to start the year with. But I'm here now, and I would like to welcome you all back to episode 6. So, like I mentioned, I've not posted in a while, at least not the podcast episode. But I did post, I think the last thing I posted was the wild orchid socks, which I've designed. And I posted a tutorial / guide for those socks. So if you haven't seen it yet, please do go back on my channel and watch it. I wanted to create that because, after posting in the Knitters Gonna Knit group, which I co-founded with Irina Shaar, I posted about the socks, and many people expressed their concerns with knitting Fair Isle and toe-up socks, since it either gets too tight or they've never done the toe-up sock. So I filmed that tutorial, sort of like a guide, and it is on the longer side of films, but I really tried to go into detail and explain everything step by step and show you from start to finish how those socks are constructed. So I do hope that you shall check it out, and that pattern is available for purchase both in my Ravelry store and on my website at vanderkampdesigns.com. So I hope you all have been well, and I hope you all have been rather creative with your knitting and have made a lovely progress on this year's project. So, like I mentioned, there's been a lot happening to me personally in the previous month. So, I've been trying to deal with that and a bunch of other things, and sometimes things simply do not go according to plan, sadly. So I'm here now, and I'm very excited to be back, both on YouTube and also publishing patterns. There's a few things that I've been working on in January, and for now I shall let them remain a secret. But they are coming out soon. So there's a jumper pattern that I've designed, and it's a very simple-ish type of jumper that uses a lot of colors. And I mean a lot of colors. It's all color blocked and it's all in different directions. And the only thing that I included in that jumper that is a bit trickier is the Kitchener stitch graft across the chest. And I know people oftentimes find it a very difficult, advanced technique. But once you get into the rhythm, I'm sure that you shall manage fine. And I'm very excited about posting that jumper. And also, I've worked on a shawl, a triangular type of shawl, that is worked in Intarsia and is inspired by the traditional Serbian kilims here in the country. So I took those motifs and I made them into a shawl. And I have to say, I have not been displeased with the project in a very, very long time. So I'm beyond excited to share that shawl with you, and hopefully I might film some sort of tutorial or something, or if you are indeed interested, please do let me know in the comments or on social media if you would like for me to organize a class, an online class that covers the technique of Intarsia knitting. And the good thing about the shawl, that the motifs are very geometrical. So it's much easier to do Intarsia on the geometrical patterns than it is to do, let's say, flower motifs or something that, has bits and pieces of yarn. This is very structured and very geometrical, so it's much easier to manage. The only issue with the shawl when it comes to difficulty is because it's a triangle and it started at the bottom bit and then increased. At one point, by the time that you get towards the end, you shall have a very wide row of stitches, and there's going to be plenty of bobbins to carry, but do not be intimidated. And I was inspired by two people to create this shawl. So one of them is, of course, my beloved friend Irina Shaar, who is the host of Fiberchats channel here on YouTube, and also my co-founder of Knitters Gonna Knit group on Facebook. So a while ago, she did a YouTube series called How to Become a Better Knitter. And this got me thinking about that topic. And, I've always tried to, create the patterns that would be knittable in a way. I never wanted to go and design something so extremely complicated and something that very few people would be able to knit. Because, I really don't want to intimidate people with, complex methods. And, I see that, minimalism is rather popular now, which according to my scene here, you can see that, I'm not one of those people. So I created that shawl and I thought, what, I'm just going to do it. It's going to be a very beautiful piece of knitting, and I believe that, everyone should at least give it a try. And the thing that Irina inspires in people, and I can confirm this, she started knitting only some years ago. I think it's 5, going on 6 perhaps. So she started knitting, and the first thing she grabbed, and she went into Shetland lace. And if you are a keen knitter, you would know that Shetland lace is considered something of an advanced level type of knitting. So she just went into it. And she mentioned on more than one occasion that the reason she went into it is because she saw the pattern book, she saw the cover, she liked the shawl. I think it's one of the Elizabeth Lovick's designs. I'm not sure, but I think so. Well, with the hearts. So she saw it, she liked it, and she said, well, how hard can it be? So she grabbed herself some fine needles and some fine yarn, and she went on and knitted the entire bloody shawl. And it's that, mindset that, how hard can it be, is what got her to be now an incredible knitter. And I'm just so in awe of her dedication and her talents. So she was one of the people that inspired me to create that shawl, and to just bring the ever so intimidating technique of Intarsia to you people, so that you can give it a try, because it's personally one of my absolute favorite techniques. And I would really like for you to try it, because once you do, and once you figure it out, you're going to love it as much as I do. And I promise you that. Another person that inspired me is an Instagram user, a lovely lady, and her page is called Knitting for Victory. And it's a vintage style knitting type of profile, and she does incredible pieces from all of those 40s, 30s, 50s knitting magazines and patterns, and they truly are remarkable. So she posted one of the I think was a jumper of some sort or something, and she posted it, and it had an Intarsia pattern all over it, and I commented on that, and I said, oh, you know, I really do like Intarsia, and that looks lovely. So then we started chatting about on the topic in the direct message, and she inspired me to just, you know, pick up Intarsia again and do it. Since I've not done any in a long time for the reasons previously stated. So I thought, well, you know what, this is a new year. I suppose it's time to do something new and publish something new. So Intarsia Shawl it is. Anyway, I've dragged it out into eternity, sorry. Right, but I'm looking forward to it, and please do let me know if you would like for me to do a class on Intarsia. And I've also added the fringe onto the shawl because it simply adds to the aesthetics of it, since most of the kilim rugs have fringe to them since they are woven. So the warp is cut and tied, and it's very pretty. Right. So before I go into something very special that I'm working on, I want to tell you about this project that I'm working on. So I've started a jumper in this lovely ochre. You probably can't tell because the camera is very exposed, but you can see the shade almost. It's a very lovely ochre, golden, yellowish tone. So I really liked it, and I wanted a jumper that was done entirely in this color. And that's the thing, I quite rarely do solid color projects. I'm quite a fan of doing the color blocking and ferrules and stuff. It doesn't matter of the technique, I like to color block it, you know, put one color after another and so on. So I decided, well, you know, I'm going to do a single color jumper because this is such a pretty color that, you know, I feel as if I were to mix it with something else, it would take away from the overall design. So I've decided to do it. And quite exciting as well that my long DPNs in the size 4mm, which is a US 6mm, arrived just in time for me to start on to this jumper. And let me tell you a little bit about those DPNs. I already have all of the smaller sizes for lace knitting, but I do not have did not have the 4mm needles. And the thing is, because I knit with my old mountain wool practically exclusively now, and I always knit it on 4mm needles. So it's very difficult for one to find these DPNs, since, you know, they either are not produced, especially not in my country, but they're either not produced, and when they are, they sell out so quickly that one simply cannot get one's hands on them. So I was scrolling to Etsy, quite coincidental actually. I was just scrolling, not looking for anything in particular, and Etsy, knowing my preferred tastes, just popped a shop, and it says 40cm and double pointed needles, and I thought, oh god, if they have 4mm, I'm going to die. So I clicked on it, and they had the 4mm, and the shop was based in Minnesota in the United States. So of course I immediately went on and I ordered them, and they arrived sometime after, and I'm so excited that I finally got them. So these are from Adi, and Adi is definitely my favorite brand for needles. So I'm very happy. As you can tell, I'm rather pleased with myself. Anywho, I'm going to work this jumper, and it's going to be a yoke jumper. So I'm gonna do up to here and then do the sleeves and then attach it. and I'm not going to reveal too much about the design, but I will keep you updated on that. So one of the troubles that I've had since the beginning of this year is that, there was a change of policy between the customs of Serbia and the United States. So a bunch of my parcels, the packages that I sent to my customers who have purchased my wool, have been declined at the JFK airport in New York and were sent right back to me. So that provided me with an excess amount of stress. So I've been dealing with that, and I think that I finally managed to figure out, what's the policy change, and hopefully I can now return to the very standardized routine of, selling the yarn and shipping it off to its new home successfully and without trouble. And of course, I'd like to apologize to those whose parcels were declined and returned back. I've worked with the people, so I'm going to resend them and stuff. But I'm very dreadfully sorry. And this is the thing about the work that I do that is absolutely devastating to me. I feel so very responsible for the things that I do. And when I started the yarn business, and I started reviving the sheep and the wool, for the sake of the Serbian heritage, and then I started selling it, and all was going well. The whole time there was a weight on my shoulders, thinking, oh God, I live in what's considered a third world country, and shipping is not as easy as if it would be if I were in a European European Union country. Sorry. So it's much more difficult, and it's much more difficult to get things out. So I've stressed about this for 2 years, and then finally it happened, the change of policy and everything, and I find myself once again completely stuck, and all of my efforts have been wasted. So I'm working to rebuild that routine so that it works successfully. And it's always a constant pressure to me. And I know people don't really talk about it, and I don't like to either. But sometimes I feel like sharing with all of you my personal issues and concerns helps to lift some of that weight off my shoulders. So, right, it's a responsible job to do, having to send things, and if they do not arrive, I'm responsible, even though technically I'm not, because I cannot influence the customs, neither here or in any other country. And there's absolutely nothing that I can do about it except try my very best to fulfill all of the requirements so that my packages arrive safely to their destinations. But still, it takes a huge toll on me. And I hope that, after dealing with it now, that I can just move forward and go back to my routine. I do like my routine. So, that's been quite stressful. And, there's also been some personal, family related dramas and stuff. So, a lot. And then I got very sick at the beginning of the month, and I was stuck in bed for a while. And then as soon as I got out of bed, I learned about all of my shipments being returned. And then as soon as I finished dealing with that, I dislocated my knee in the most ridiculous of manner, and I feel quite embarrassed about it, but it happened. So I spent quite some days in bed, and I am now slowly getting back on my feet. So I went hiking, right? And as you might have seen from some of my footage, I wear my riding boots or my hunting boots, which are ridiculously difficult to put on and even more ridiculously difficult to take off. So I have returned from my endeavour, and I've sat on the sofa and I removed the right boot, and then as I was to remove the left one, my knee cracked and dislocated, the cap dislocated, and I have a chronic bone disease, so it's much more easier for me to dislocate my joints, and my bones are not in their best shape. So, but it's over. I'm getting back on my feet, so that's very good indeed. Right, and well, there's something that I want to share, and I'm beyond excited to share with you. And it's another project. And yes, I know I'm already working on this one, but I had to start this special project. And if you know me personally, you would know, and now the rest of you will too, I'm not one of those people who can have multiple projects in the works. I absolutely cannot deal with it. To me, that's a complete chaotic situation in my mind, and I find myself lost, and then completely lose my motivation to finish either of the projects. So I do things simply. I start a project, I finish the project, I write the pattern, that's it. But this time it's a special, a special occasion, so I had to start. So, I've been thinking for quite a while about what I'll be doing next, and I thought, well, I should probably do some lace knitting, since I've not done it in quite a while. So I wanted to do a lace shawl. And then I got in contact with some of my friends from the International Women's Club here, and also another friend who was the organizer of the Ethnology Fest here in Serbia. So I said, I'm going to make this shawl, and I think that perhaps it would be a good idea that this shawl be named after the Serbian Crown Princess Catherine. And so I told a friend of mine, Yunhai, I told her, well, would you like to do this in honor of her, and create the entire design in her honor, and also give it to her. So we got in contact with Her Royal Highness, the private secretary, and well, we got a heads up. So there's a collab, and I will be doing this shawl for Her Royal Highness, the Crown Princess Catherine of Serbia. So I'm very, very excited about it. So of course, since we are knitting for the princess, it's quite important that this lace be the most impressive piece of knitting that I can master. So of course I went to one of my knitting books, and I found a pattern for the edging that I have saved a long time ago. And let me tell you, that edging, when I first saw it, and it was years ago, so I saw that edging, and I said, well, this is absolutely stunning, but I'm not doing it. And the reason I'm not doing it, because I don't feel that it deserves to be done now. So I turned and I said to my mama, I said, hey, would you look at this pattern? It's stunning, but I'm not going to do it anytime soon. The time will come, and the only time that I will knit this edging is if I'm knitting it for the Queen. And well, the time has come. Now, Serbia is not an established monarchy. It was abolished in the previous century by the Communist Party, sadly. If we were still a monarchy, even though we do have our royal family, who moved to England, and then they've returned in the 2000s to Serbia and formed their base here. They moved into the White into the White Palace. So if we were a monarchy, she would be a queen, because her husband, His Royal Highness the Crown Prince Alexander, is the rightful heir to the Serbian throne. So technically she would be queen. Princess is good enough for me. So I went and I picked the book and I said, yes, I'm going to do that edging. And I'm going to, I can't show you the exact pattern yet, but I'll tell you the book. So this is one of the Barbara Walker books. And this is the second treasury of knitting patterns. So this is, oh, that light is too much. So this is a great book and it has a lot of knitting patterns and ideas and everything. And that edging I've seen, like I said, a while ago, and I've kept it in my notes and I said, it must be done. So I knew exactly what to do for the edging. And then I went and I constructed the body of the shawl. And then I'm going to start knitting it. I'm currently working on that edging, which you probably can't tell what it looks like exactly, because, you know, it's sort of, you know how lace is, it's all bunched up and until you block it and then it looks nice. I think I might insert a picture of one of the repeats into the video. So yeah, I think I might do that. You can take a look. So I'm going to finish the board and then pick up all of the stitches, and I'm going to knit up onto the body. It's not going to be an all around edging. It's just going to be at the top and the bottom of the shawl. It's going to be a rectangular shawl. So I'll pick up the stitches and then work on the body, and it's a very stunning design that I've come up with. So if I can say so myself. And I'm also going to include some beading into that lace design for the body. And I found beautiful silver pearls that will fit right in with this yarn. And this is gorgeous yarn. It's a merino, yak and silk blend. And I'm working the edging on, these are 3mm needles. I think that's a US 4, but if I'm wrong, please excuse me. Anywho, I'm quite looking forward to making further progress and sharing it with you. I'll be posting about it on my social media. And also, if you are on social media, please do check out my Instagram account at Van de Kamp Designs with a bottom line in between each. I'll post a link in the description of the film. Right, so yeah, that's quite exciting. I mean, I still can't believe it. I really can't believe it. And then, you know, we've set the deadline to be by March 1st, I think, because we are probably going to have a luncheon with Her Royal Highness on March 8th, since she throws her annual Women's Day brunch. So I think that's the occasion, but we're not quite sure yet what we're going to do exactly. But I'll keep you posted, and I'll keep you posted on my progress as well. So yeah, I'm a little bit shocked with, you know, that my dream will finally come true. You know, I've always wanted to knit this lace, and I always wanted to knit it for the royal family. So yeah, it works. Such fun. Right. I wanted to show you something, but I can't remember what it was. I'm still a little bit mumbled in my mind. But it shall come to me in a minute, hopefully. Right. Oh, the social media. I wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So if you are on social media, please do come on Facebook and join my Knitters Gonna Knit group, which I co-founded with Irina Shaar. And we currently have some over 21,000 members. So that's a marvelous community. And both Irina and I have worked quite diligently for the past 2 years to make that community a very good one. One can oftentimes find oneself lost in their knitting, and especially with how the previous few years have been quite isolated. A good community is always a good thing. And when Irina and I started it, we hoped to encourage, support, and motivate all of our members. Not the two of us, but that our members can motivate and support each other. And after being a member of so many of those Facebook knitting groups, I was quite discouraged, and I have to say, and honestly quite upset for a good while, because 3 years ago I have published my first pattern, which was the custody shawl, and it's a lace shawl with beads, beading, and a Shetland lace edging. So at that point I started publishing patterns every month, and I was not well known in the global knitting community. And I didn't have a large social media following, I didn't have all the platforms, and I needed to reach to people so that they can see my patterns and purchase them and support my work. So, of course, I've known Irina at that time. She was the reason that I published the Cast Diva shawl. And she was in a bunch of groups, and she said, well, why don't you join all of these knitting groups, and you can post your work there. Which is exactly what I did, except that I did not find myself surrounded with massive support. And I don't mean by the members of those groups, but I mean by the administration of those groups. Unfortunately, most of the groups on Facebook do not support any type of self-promotion. So nowadays, even though that I don't put a link when I post in some of those groups, I just say, oh, look what I've finished. My posts will be removed just because they know that I'm a designer, and they know that, people can go and look me up, which I find absolutely disgraceful. If you have a large group and you are running it and you have a lot of people, I don't see any trouble with allowing people to self-promote. To somebody like me, even 10 people, if 10 people were to buy a pattern, it makes me happy. I've had some incredibly successful patterns where I've sold in hundreds, but even 10 make me happy. And I can't believe that somebody would take that opportunity away from me. And especially that, fiber and knitting is my occupation. It's not my hobby. It's my job. It's what provides me with the means to live a life and to maintain said life. And it's quite discouraging that the communities that are, by their name, supposed to be communities and supposed to support one another, do such things. And I can't believe that, it didn't change. So I'm very glad that Irina and I started our group, in which we have allowed people to self-promote, whether it be famous designers and dyers, or the very starting designers and dyers, or new YouTube knitting podcasters, or whatever really. You are allowed to self-promote. If we can allow you to self-promote and provide you with support, then, we're not doing it for ourselves. We are doing it for you. And it's just our way of supporting everyone in the community. And that's why we call it our KGK family, because it does indeed feel as we are all, just one pack of knitters, and, we are all related in a way. So I'm very happy that we did it. And if you are on Facebook, please do come along and join. It would be. You'll find your way there. You can meet new people. You can make new friends, find new inspirations, new patterns, and many other things. Right. So I recently had the need to provide somebody some details on my wool. What exactly I've done with it, why I'm doing it, and all of that, and what the sheep breeds are and stuff. So I want to talk to you a little bit about that. Serbia had an incredibly beautiful agricultural heritage for many centuries, and unfortunately, mid 20th century, it all started to decline. People started moving to cities and towns and living villages, abandoning their farms, and with that, a lot of animals started, the numbers of animals started declining. And this does not only include sheep, but also other farm animals. So if we look at statistics from the 50s to now, and I mean to say this, the numbers have dropped so low that it's absolutely heartbreaking and absolutely shocking. So much so that some of the breeds are completely gone, some of our native breeds. And those breeds cannot be made again, sadly. And their fleece was used for centuries of, for making clothes and kilims and stuff. So it's absolutely devastating. And some of the breeds, the native breeds, still remain, but in very small numbers. So we have 3 of the sheep here, the breeds, which are extremely endangered. One is called the Pirotska sheep, and the numbers of those are below 1,000 on a national level. Then we have a breed that's called Lipska, and those numbers are also below 1,000, which is between 500 and 1,000. So it's quite devastating that there's only so little of them left, so few. And of course, there's the Karakacanska sheep, which is probably on the in the worst position, because there's only about 100 heads left of those sheep, and they are incredibly beautiful animals. So it's really heartbreaking. Now, looking at the more popular sheep, the Sveljig and some other breeds that are more common, even those numbers have dropped at between 70 and 80%. So it's incredible how drastic the change is in less than 100 years. And those breeds are not used for wool, so there's no active production of wool in Serbia. They're mainly used for the meat industry. So what I've done is I've taken that fleece from one of those more common sheep, and then I mixed it up with the rarer fleeces, and then I sent them off to the mill that I work with, and they spin it and everything, and they give me the yarn, which I then dye. And I'm trying very hard to make a difference, to encourage people to keep breeding those sheep, because if I don't, I'm afraid that in another 20 years, all of these breeds will be gone forever. And I think that would be an absolutely devastating thing to happen to not only people who craft, but also to this country. We must remain diligent in our efforts to preserve those sheep. So if you would like, you can look them up. I'll put their names in the description box. So I want to show you here's some of the yarns. Let's take this one for example. So this is the DK weight, and you can find it on my website if you'd like. And also I've recently published a new collection of hand-woven scarves and shawls, which are also available on my website. So the weaving brings me a lot of joy, and I'm so glad. I recently posted on Facebook about the shawls, and I said, the lady who makes the shawls, the master weaver, when I was a wee child, she was one of the few people that gave me full support and encouragement to proceed a career, a lifestyle in the crafts industry, in the knitwear and the weaving and the crochet and all of that. So she was a big supporter of mine, and I was just a wee child. So it had meant a lot to me, more than I can possibly express. And I'm so beyond glad that I've grown and I've turned it into a success. So much so that I can now provide employment to that lady. So she would weave for me and I would sell the shawls for her. And I'm so very proud to call her my assistant, associate, you name it. She's a marvelous lady, lives by herself, and she's been weaving for a long time. And she is probably one of the best weavers that I've met here in the country. So very neat, absolutely dedicated to each detail and made to perfection. So please check them out. They're truly, truly marvelous. They are not made in our old mountain wool because it's a bit too tough to be woven in the methods that she uses. It's perfect for kilims, but we don't do those. So there's no Serbian wool in them, but they're made with good blends that are soft and cozy, and they drape wonderfully. So please do check them out. Right. So for this week, I have quite a lot to do. There's plenty of work that I need to catch up to. I have to finish the patterns, and I have to finish another pattern which I did not have the time to finish writing up. And I am not very keen on writing patterns. I mean, I know how to do it, and I do it rather well, I think, but I'm not necessarily enjoying myself very much while doing so. So I hope that I can, during this week, catch up to all of the tasks that I must, and that by the end of the next week I can provide the pattern release for the jumper. So yeah, very much looking forward to it. Right, so I think this should probably sum up this episode. Thank you so very much for tuning in from wherever you are. I hope that this week you find new inspirations and have a very good week. Be productive, be happy, and be kind to all. Thank you again for all of those who have already subscribed, and to all of those who are keen watchers of this channel, which is relatively new. So it means a lot to me, and everyone who's been commenting and providing words of support and comfort have meant more than I can express with words. So my sincerest thanks to all of you for doing that. And if you are new, like I said, I would much appreciate if you were to subscribe. And if you are watching and not subscribing, that's alright too. But it does provide me support, more than anything, emotional support to keep producing these films and sharing them with you. I, of course, try not to only do podcasts, but also from time to time to post tutorials and classes, which you might find useful and interesting. So I shall try and share my knowledge with you, share all of my endeavours, and hopefully inspire some of you. And if you are going through a difficult time, I shall keep you in my prayers. And I hope to see you soon, next Sunday. Right, so please subscribe, please hit the like button, please leave me comments below. I look forward to reading them all, and I look forward to sharing my new adventures with you. So until further notice, I shall say ta-ta for now, and I shall see you soon.